Okay. Hello all.
Yo.
Evening.
How does it feel being a guest then, Aaron?
Nice, because I can just do whatever I like tonight. I don't have to look at comments. I can actually hear what people are saying. And I can just, sit around, chill. I'm going to do the Andy thing and just have a nice beer.
Yeah. So obviously, are you going to plan on going to Reading Comic Con in November?
Still got my table. I've just carried on moving it over.
Yeah. Sweet.
Yes, I will be there.
I booked my tickets as soon as they announced the dates for it. I was like, I'm booking them.
It's going to be a good weekend.
Oh, yeah, especially with Steve.
I don't know when we're going to get one up here, because the way it's done, we're not going to be coming out of air lockdown until about May.
I think Showmasters and MCM have both basically said probably be doing any others bar London and Birmingham this year.
I mean, that's fair enough.
Yeah, they'll be guaranteed though, won't they? Those ones will be guaranteed for them.
I don't know. Both one's in the XL and one's in the NEC, and they're both Nightingale hospitals. So,
I think they're planning on getting the Nightingale hospitals closed down fairly soon. I think with the next couple of months, they want to slowly start bringing the admissions to the Nightingale hospitals down into normal hospitals, because obviously they've been taking a lot of the strain, and then get these centres back open for public and private use like they were. Because I've got a con in the XL in London for, I think he said October, and me and my friends are like, we're still umming and ahhing at it, but I may give bigger cons a miss this year. Make sure everyone is vaccinated, and then next year hit the bigger cons.
Dave's in the chat.
Yeah, I think it's just working out how is it going to go, because obviously you're going to have the bigger places that have more room. So in one way, going to the bigger ones, you're kind of going to you'll be able to keep a certain distance from people, won't you? Whereas the smaller ones, you're not going to have that. But then which ways people going to go? They're going to go for the smaller ones because they think less people are going to be there, and therefore it'd be safer, or they pick the bigger ones thinking that there's going to be tons of people, but in actual fact there's going to be less people because they're spread out more.
Well, the smaller ones will be able to manage foothold a little bit easier, because especially Reading Comic Con, there's one way in, one way out. So that's a lot easier to manage numbers of who's coming in and who's going out.
The traffic that they got coming in and out.
Yeah, whereas stuff like MCM Comic Con, and especially the one that I go to, which is a gaming convention, there's multiple entrances spread out across the whole centre where they've got all of the rooms open. So how they would manage how many people are coming in and out of there is ridiculous. Whereas smaller cons is a lot easier.
I think as well on the bigger stuff, you've got more like staff have to be there, so they're getting in more additional staff that aren't actually part of the thing. Really, they've just got to be there for security and health and safety and things like that.
Yeah, especially with Reading Comic Con, if it's in the same place as it was 2 years ago, they'll be able to manage like the one-way system. They'll be able to manage that a lot easier than, because then like a bigger con, you have so much stuff spread out everywhere that you wouldn't be able to have a one-way system, because how all the stalls and how all of the demonstrations that are spread out, you can't really have a one-way system with that.
Thing is, what they'll be banking.
There's meant to be one near me in June, but that's been cancelled. So I'm a bit gutted about that. But there's meant to be one in Perth in December. So hopefully I can get to that one. But the other ones, there was meant to be one in October. There was meant to be one in September, but at the minute they've been cancelled unless anything changes. So we'll just anyway. So David, World Toys is asking what do you all collect? I think Aaron's went near this quite a few times with doing your live streams. What you collect?
Yeah, if you want
Jason,
me to go first.
You collect. I'll let Aaron go first, and then we'll ask Jason, and then we'll ask Chris.
Oh, I've cut my main focus down to just collecting Black Series, Star Wars, and Lightning Collection Power Rangers at the moment. But I collect a lot of things. I collect mostly things that I had as a kid, really. So I've got Power Ranger Megazords from back in the day, Star Wars figures, Starship Troopers, Street Sharks, just cool stuff like that, really. I don't collect everything and anything, but yeah. But yeah, like I said, my main focus at the moment is collecting Black Series and Lightning Collection. So yeah.
Cool. Mine is normally Star Wars, but obviously in Star Wars you've got to there's lines you've got to pull, because there's more Star Wars stuff being released every day than I think there is money being made by the mint. So really I'd go focus more on the vintage stuff, but some of the newer stuff, the stuff that you like, because I think you have to be able to go in the shop and pick something up off the shelf. Because if you were just like, I'm only ever going to collect Star Wars vintage, you would just be online all the time buying it. You'd never have that going in the shop and picking up stuff. So I mess with that, and then any other bits of Star Wars I like, and then figures really from my childhood that I know I had, and some of them I forgot I had until I see them, and then I remember bits from either the cartoon or from the actual thing. So Star Wars normally is focus. Masters Universe is in there, and then today I got some Pirates of Dark Water, which was a great cartoon. And then seeing the figures, I was just like, well, you can't go wrong with those, can you? They're huge figures compared to this. Like, you pick them up, they're just a solid built figure, and you're like, well, all right then. So that's today anyway. So next week could be something else I've seen and picked up. So Chris, go for it.
So for me at the moment, I'm trying not to go down too many rabbit holes, but for me at the moment, it's mainly Power Ranger Megazords. I'm trying to go all throughout and try to get as many as I can from up until when I stopped watching. But I think now at the moment I've got about 13 Megazords now. Like the latest one I've got was the Legacy Dragon Zord, which I'm so happy that I managed to get myself a Dragon Zord. But yeah, the next
Dragon Zord.
Nearly 200 quid, Aaron.
Well, you covered for Dragon Zords, man. Don't worry about
that. I think the next Megazords I'm trying to get the in space ones, because they're so hard to find.
Yeah.
Especially like as complete as I can get. I don't mind if they're missing the weapons, but I've seen the Astro Mega ship on eBay without the arms and the legs. I'm like, well, that's not a Megazord. That's just a bit of plastic now. It's just, yeah,
I think I've got one of those Lost in Space Megazords.
Yeah, because there's 4 in space.
Yeah, I think I've only got one left.
So are they easy to pick up parts for? So if you got one which is quite loose or missing a few bits, is that easy enough to get parts for? Or
I don't really look for parts. Like I just tried to find the ones with missing weapons, because if they're missing a weapon, it doesn't bother me because they're sitting on a shelf. Like they're not going to get played with. They're just sitting on a display shelf. That's it, and I'm happy. But if they're missing limbs, then I try not to go for them. There's one I've got. It's like the Rescue Turbo Zord. It's the second Turbo Zord they got, and they all like little mini Zords that combined into the Megazord. The Red Ranger's one was like a fire truck. That's missing one of its arms, but it doesn't affect the Megazord. So that I've just got, yeah, that's fine. It doesn't affect the Megazord. I'm happy. But if it's actual parts of the Megazord missing, then no. It's not for me.
For My collect, well, where do I start? Because I collect quite a lot of stuff, but probably my main focus is probably Star Wars, Transformers, He-Man. I do have a lot. I do have quite a few Power Rangers now, due to a certain person. I'm not saying names. No, I do have a selection in Marvel, DC, Mask. Probably name I've probably picked up at some point. But
So will you stop collecting different lines? Do you get to a point? Do you get to a point where you just go, you see something from an old toy, and you go, I won't pick that up because I know if I pick that up, it's going to be another one on the shelf to go, then need another 2, and then need another 3, or do you just leave it?
Just before Christmas, I managed to pick up this toy line that's cried Laser Wars. So it's like a 6-inch figure. So I picked one up, like to look at, and then I ended up buying another one, and then I've got like 3 or 4 I'm looking at the minute. So it's that you don't know what you see something that's cool. It's like, oh, I'll buy that, and then before you can, you want another one, and then you end up buying the whole line. But although it's hard to, when it comes to that, it's like, where do you stop, kind of thing, eh?
I guess it's how you arrange your figures. Like if you've got your own shelves and your own bits, so you say, right, this shelf's going to be for this, like Brave Star. Then when you pick up another figure, you have a shelf and you go, this is just random individuals. But it's then, when does that one random individual figure then become 2, and then go, right, we need a new cabinet, or we need a new shelf for these now, because they're starting to grow. And it was one that you weren't even thinking of building to start with.
Well, that was like the last.
No, go on.
Sorry, I'll let you continue.
I'd say that happened to me with Street Sharks. I as much as I loved them, it wasn't a line that I was like that into. I had one Street Shark, which is Rox, I think his name is, and he's the long-haired one with the guitar. Kept him because I liked him, and I don't know. I had the shelf that they're on was full of Alien Kenner figures, and I just kind of wanted something new to focus on, like, because it was everything I was buying. Like I said, I was focusing on like a one-dimensional sort of way of collecting. So I just wanted something a bit different. But I've kind of made it difficult for myself as well, because I'm going to be doing this year, our boots and all start up. I'm going to be doing like a £20 challenge to try and like get as much of it for £20 as possible. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it's not going to be saying that it's going to be right. I can just go on eBay now and buy
everything,
bang, buy it off. It's going to be a long, drawn-out process of trying to actually get a collection on the cheap.
Do you think that's a better way of doing it? Because of everyone can, like, money permitting, everyone can go out and just buy everything they want. In theory, I've always thought that if you were a millionaire and you went, do you know what, I like vintage Star Wars, and they can just literally go out and buy everything sealed, backed, graded, whatever they want. Whereas for most people, it's sort of but we can still buy a good quantity in one hit. You could just say, right, for this month, my spare cash is going on this. But you're going for it so quickly. In 3 or 4 months, you're going to want another thing, because so by what you're doing, I guess this is a new way of. Is it a new way for you doing this rather than like the other ways, because you're just trying to complete it, but take a marathon rally rather than a sprint race?
I think it's what coming out of lockdown's done to me with my collecting. Like lockdown's really changed the way I collect, and mainly because I'm not at the toy fairs, I'm not at the Comic Cons like I used to be. But I've got into this. It was just a habit of Hasbro come out, and so I don't know. I'm just going to grab him. Here's your next Mandalorian figure. Yeah. Buy it, pre-order it, and all of a sudden in 2 months' time it turns up, and it's like, oh, cool, Mandalorian, and then I stick it on the shelf, and then Hasbro come along and say, now here's Moff Gideon. Buy that. Cool, I've got Moff Gideon turn up. He goes and sits on. Do you know what I mean? It was becoming a bit repeating process, and it was
I think we
wasn't fun.
We talked about it last week. It's like, because guy that collected Power Rangers last week, he buys everything online, so he doesn't actually go out shopping. And it's just it's like, for me, you can buy it online, and when it arrives, the thrill of seeing it is all gone because something else you're waiting for. And I think with Star Wars especially, and I guess with Black Series, like, you've got yours out of the box, but a lot of people keep the boxes and keep them in the boxes because they're all numbered and they can run them on the shelves and things. But they must get to a point where they pre-order a box, it arrives, they've pre-ordered 3 or 4 boxes, that box comes, it just goes on the shelf. It's probably never even pulled back out the shelf to look at the figure, because all they're seeing is like number 4 or number 10 or whatever, or the new ones have got the artwork on. But that's all they're really looking at then.
I guess it's how your preferences are, the way you collect. Like, I take a lot of photography with my Black Series, so that's why they're out. But even with Black Series, I only stick to Empire and like Rebellion and The Mandalorian. Like, I've actually said to myself, I'm not going down the Clone Wars.
Is that not hard to do?
It's very hard. I love episode 2 clones, like the way they look and everything. I love them. And at the moment, I'm watching as like a little show to watch. I'm rewatching the Clone Wars, the cartoon.
Yeah, amazing. That whole 7 seasons of that is amazing.
Really good.
I love it, and I haven't done it for a long time, and I think me and Vic watched the first couple of Star Wars films, the prequel films, and I was like, do you know what? Before I watch Revenge of the Sith, I'm going to smash out the whole Clone Wars series. And then literally when I finished that last episode of, is it season 7?
Yeah, that was the latest one.
Yeah, I'm going to go, once that episode finishes, I'm going to go straight away and watch Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, because that's got to be hard, because like, obviously you collect Star Wars, so you'll know, like, the original Star Wars 3 was my age growing up, and then my boy was born sort of my eldest was born when the new films were coming out, so I was buying Star Wars toys for him, so he grew up with sort of with the Phantom Menace and Clone Wars and stuff like that. And then obviously now he's at that age when the newer films come out, he had that love for Star Wars as well. But it's hard with Star Wars, I think, to find something that you go, because even though like you can slate the Phantom Menace as much as you want, there will be figures that you go, that's a cool figure from that.
Yeah.
And then how do you stop yourself from going down that rabbit hole? Because Star Wars is just huge. You can just collect forever with that. I think you'll never run out. But how do you stop yourself? Like, I find it hard because like Empire Strikes Back is my favorite one. But then there'd be bits like when you saw The Mandalorian and like Jedi Luke come onto that. Like, even though Empire Strikes Back was my thing, like I'm like, that's very cool and that would be a cool figure. And but you kind of like, where do you, like for you, how do you stop yourself from like not pulling the trigger and then go, like you said with the Clone Wars? There's some great characters in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, again, it's your self-control. It's like it is pure self-control, and it's I set myself a budget each month of what I sort of have as like fun money. Do you know what I mean? Like, so that's one thing. I stick to that, but also space-wise, like I don't know if you can see it there. There's not much room for any more, and yeah, I just know that I'm just going to end up repeating that, and I've done it before. I've counted how much money that is there.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, that's a holiday. Do you know what I mean? Like that's a. So again, I think coming out of lockdown, it's just a different mentality of thinking these things. Do you know what I mean? Well, then it could all change when all toy fairs start.
Yeah. Do you think with lockdown, because like obviously for like yourself, you're around toys and seeing new different stuff all the time. So like around where I live, there's hardly any retro stuff. There's nothing on Facebook. The car boots are always just a waste of time. And there's just a few collectible shops. But whereas you've got it around a lot, so you've been obviously locked in for like now sort of well over a year sort of thing. Do you think you've looked at your collection a bit more and gone, did I just keep changing them because I could? Whereas now I'm sort of having to enjoy what I've got on the shelf because I can't go out and replace that shelf with a whole new set of something else. So do you think you've sort of kind of just and then your focus has gone, do you know what? That's what I really enjoy and that's what I want to collect. Like the others was just because it was there sort of thing, and I got a few little memories of it.
Yeah, no, I definitely would agree with that. I think it has become this, like, I moved out with my dad, so I've got to contain what I've got, and I think that's changed it because I've got loads of stuff that's sitting in my mum and dad's loft, and it's becoming a thing of like, well, if they decide to move out and sell the house up, and they go, here's all your stuff, I could have 20 boxes just dumped on me now. Like, where's it going to go? So, and yeah, I think it has kind of changed my mentality a bit on it, mostly because I've kind of missed doing things, and all those little plans that you have.
Yeah.
Well, like, oh, one day we should do this, one day we should do that, and now it's like, oh well, I've just technically lost a year of our lives,
and a year's worth of money that you could have spent on it.
Yeah, exactly. So that way, it's probably better that I've got a year's worth of money in my pocket, but it's still, I don't know. I've definitely changed collecting. I'm definitely not going to be spurging as much money on collecting as I used to be. And I think I'm just doing things that I enjoy now. Like me and a couple of mates, and as a homage to a friend of ours who passed away. We mentioned it on our live stream. Long story. Basically, the guy got a plush alien snake. A chest bud. It was a plush thing, and he was like, we just went around his house, and like he just was throwing it at us, shouting alien snake," and it's one of those jokes that no one understands, but because we know this guy, it was. So, as a homage to him, me, Andy, and Dan have all bought Kenner alien snake aliens as a homage to him, and we're going to go and send it off for grading, and hopefully we're going to do a little competition of who can get the worst grade figure. Right? we're just like doing something silly like that means a hell of a lot more to me.
That toy is now becoming a memory to you. It's not just a toy that you've got on the shelf. It's got a memory and it's got something tagged to it. Yeah. So therefore, it's not just it's in a row of like 100 of them. That one specifically, regardless of cost or anything, it's got a specific memory tagged to it now, and it's kind of like what you do with your old toys. Your old toys have got your memory ingrained on them, even though they might not be original toys. You still remember that figure, or from the cartoon. Whereas now you're just making new memories for older toys, and they mean more on a shelf than 5 or 6 you've pre-ordered and sort of spent your money on.
I think, to be honest, half of these Black Series and Rangers I probably wouldn't have bought if I didn't do the toy photography.
Yeah,
take them out, doing all that and everything. So, yeah, I think the memory behind the collecting is far more powerful than the actual figure themselves.
Oh, definitely. I a couple of years back, I sold all my video game collection because that was just in boxes in the loft. And every time I moved house, it literally was just hiring a van to move a load of boxes from out the loft to the new house to go in the loft again. But some of the games are like really bad games. But I can remember queuing up outside the shops to open with my mates to pick up those games and things like that. So the game, to everybody else, they just look at it and go, "Oh, that's just a standard like Super Mario Brothers 3. It's a good game." Whereas I can remember like seeing Turtles at the MEB running on a demo. I can remember those things, and I can remember queuing with my friends to get those games. So they're worthless to everybody else. But it's the same with toys. Do you know? You remember what toys you played with your brothers and things like that. Do you know? So but it's good that you can create new memories with old toys as well now.
100%.
Yeah.
The boot sale toy suites are real. Will I find anything? No. Me and Andy go hunting together when we go to car boot sales and stuff. So it's probably me walking away with that bag of toys that he's wondering about.
Knowing you, Aaron,
So,
yeah.
while we're on the subject of car boot sales, are you looking forward for them to come back, Aaron?
Yeah, I am. It's one of those weird things. I get to a point later on in the year that I always say to Vic and everyone, like when I moan that another car boot sale, I'm tired, I can't be bothered or something, or anything, slap me, because right now I'm itching to go back out and do it. But yeah, give it 4 or 5 months and I'll be like, no, I can't be bothered. I want to have a lie in. I've given Vic permission to slap me. But yeah, I am.
Does she
I am
need
really
permission to do that?
She only slaps me when I touch her toys. So yeah, I'm looking forward to them. Hopefully, it's going to be a good season. It's going to be hard. I think it's either going to be like it was last year, where I found when I went out to the first few to begin with, I had some really good hauls because I think people had time to get rid of stuff, and also not many people were going to them. But I think going to car boot sales, I don't think it's ever been more popular than it is now, and which is great. Love a car boot sale, but yeah, definitely going to be harder, I think, this year to find stuff. But yeah, I'm buzzing for it. I'm looking forward to it. And like I said earlier, me and Andy and Dan, and then if Vic's off not working, we go to. So half the time you go to the car boot sales, you might not find anything, but you've been walking around with your mates or the girlfriend or anything, and you end up having a nice cup of tea, a cup of coffee, a chat, and had a laugh. So yeah,
it'd just be time out now, wouldn't it? It'd just be to get out and have a walk, sort of thing.
Yeah, right, 100%.
It'd just be instead of just walking around like the woods or bike trails or canal or whatever, you'll now be going, right, we can go somewhere for a walk and we can look at stuff as well.
Yeah.
And
I think also, I was going to say, I think also we'll end up buying more rubbish.
No find anything, and then you decide I'll have another one work, and there's always something that you find that you never seen the first time round, even though you looked on that stall. I've noticed that it's like I could have walked around my boot sales, not found a thing, and then I'll have another walk round, and it's like, oh, I found this. Why didn't I see this the first time? Kind of thing. So you don't know if the guys just put it out after you've left, or if it's been sitting there and you've been focused on something else and you've just never noticed it.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes you get the lucky bit when you're on your first walk around, and you do get, like, as you're walking, you see the person pull it out, and there's a big box of toys coming out, and you're there straight first person. But sometimes you get there and you're on the first aisles, and they've barely got their chairs and tables out of the car. So yeah, I'll always say do one walk around, but definitely try and fit a second in. And I don't know if you can fit a third in. Do you know what I mean? You don't pay for being there longer. Do you know what I mean? You pay the same amount of money, so as long as you've got the time to do it. I got the one I go to on a Saturday. I tend to depend. I walk around up until about 9 o'clock, because at 8:30 you get an early bird entry, and then at 8:30 it's like a normal entry.
Right.
So part of like the mentality with me is, well, there's no, once they let everyone in at half, do you know what I mean? There's so many more people in there. It's kind of you might as well just head out. But you can get probably at least one. You can get two when it's full. You can get 2 whole runs in if you're double time. But unlike me and Dan, normally are just casually wandering because we're more chatting about what's been going on than actually looking for toys. But on a Sunday, I tend to hit 2 car boots up on a Sunday. So one fairly close to me. So I'll go to that one first, which is about 20 minutes at that time in the morning, and then another 20 minutes on top of that to get to the second one. So
I think the first things you go to, everyone will just be looking for social interaction more so than anything. So people won't necessarily be sort of even going to shows and things. You'll be going there because it's a show that you normally go to, but because you haven't seen these people now for so long, and you might have messaged them or you might have chatted to them on the internet or whatever, but you'll actually have that social interaction. You'll actually forget why you're there because you'll just be sort of just to be around friends and having a laugh and a joke that you've not been able to do for so long. I think you just forget
100%.
Forget what you're doing originally, what the purpose of going was for. And then it'd be like, oh yeah, we're meant to report some stuff here, and then and then remember.
It's like for me, with the boot sales, I'll be glad when the boot sales opened up here, because on a Saturday that's what you done. You woke up Saturday morning, you went to your boot sale, you knew that we're still in this lockdown. You've not got that freedom anyway. You can't just say, I'm going to the boot sale, spend an hour, 2 hours, and then come back and then have a look at what you've got. At the moment, you're waking up on a Saturday morning and it's like, what day a day kind of thing. So I'll be glad when the boot sales start. Like, just keep seeing what treasures I can find.
I think that'd be longer because people would be just stood there going round and around for hours just because they hadn't done it before. They've been missing it. I can just imagine like seeing like proper sort of toy collectors and Smiths just stood in the middle of the aisles for hours, just not moving because they've not been able to get in there for so long. Just like in a comatose state, just like, we're here, we're not moving, we're not going into another lockdown again. Let's just leave us alone.
I couldn't jump out window.
I'll probably like that boot sale. I'll be probably just standing in the middle of the aisle, like going, where am I, kind of thing. I'm out.
Do you think you'll buy more stuff the first car boot sale you go to, just because you haven't been there for so long? Like stuff that you probably would have walked past if you'd been going every week. But just because, especially if the first one's not what you wanted, would you just be buying stuff for the sake of going, I've been to a car boot sale, I need to buy something because I've not done it for a
Yeah, I've done that previously. I've went to car boot sales and done like what Aaron says, done and not found anything that you're wanting. But then I've ended up finding stuff that for like my nieces and my nephews and all that.
Just to come away with something.
Like you buy a random thing, it's like, you buy it and then it's not till you get home. It's like, why did I buy it? But I think it's because you've went there, you've spent your 2 hours walking about, and it's like, I need to get something.
Justify the petrol.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd definitely panic bought the first few things. Like, oh my god, I haven't found anything. Like, I've paid £1 to get here. I've paid petrol money. I need, because I resell as well. Excuse me. And I'm always like, well, I need to find something because I need to sell that to make the money back from what I paid to get here, my fuel, my time, basically. And you end up buying something and you get home and you're like, I've probably cost myself more money buying it than I have actually like trying to save. Like, but normally what happens is I buy a few things and then I think you're kind of, it's very difficult. I try and go to these things and not get stressed out by it, but then all of a sudden, like you get so in it, you're like, oh my god, I need to find something. I need to find something, and it's easy to fall into that trap because you might be struggling. That it's just not your day, and you turn a corner and there's a bloke picking up a load of vintage Star Wars, and you're just like, what?
Yeah.
Where's my day? You know what I mean? And you do, but yeah, it happens. It's also hard as well because you're like sort of trying to do the YouTubing as well. You get trapped into a sort of, I need to buy something to do a video with. You're buying things to make a video, and you're like, instead of picking up something nice and cheap and you can make a bit of profit on, you're like, I can make a couple of quid on it, but I need something to show off. Like,
so if that happened to you, if you went out for a week and you had like a really bad weekend where you just pulled nothing, would you then buy something on eBay or Facebook just so you can make content?
Nah,
or would you just go, pull it until next week and then just see what happens, sort of thing? Yeah. Because obviously YouTube helps, and it's great that you do YouTube because like you're opening it to like, that's how like I've seen your videos before doing this sort of stuff and found your Facebook groups and things like that. By the videos, because I don't live around where you guys are or anything. So the content for me is kind of an important thing, if that makes sense, because if you're not putting nothing out, then I'm just like, is this another dead channel now, sort of thing, do you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Whereas you're trying to build your viewers up, and you've got to get, and you want to, so will you get to, like, people must get to a point where they're just buying, because I've looked at it before and I've gone, if I buy, like, I see people buying statues, right, £1,000 statues. They like just brought out a Harlequin statue for $4,000 for a Harlequin statue, and people are buying these statues, and part of me is going, are they just buying content? Because how are you dropping grands and grands and grands on things for a collection? Because it's not personal then, it's just content you're sort of buying. So, like, as you said, you're a reseller as well, so you've got a sort of business interest in things like that, and you've got to try and get as much exposure, I guess, as possible.
Yeah, so I've tried to do different things. I've tried to think outside the box when it's come to content. Like during the first lockdown, I did like some toy hunting in my mum and dad's loft, where I went up there and just looked through, like, kind of made it in like a storage wars kind of like toy hunter-esque, going through. I made a video. I went out doing some photography down the little woods near us, and I brought the camera with us and did a video there and just showed myself setting stuff up and everything, because I was, like I said, trying to avoid buying stuff just to make content.
Because you've got thousands of pounds worth of kit sat behind you. And like, at least but your photography, like, at least you're getting it, like your Black Series, you're getting them out of boxes, you're taking photos with like one, like in essence, one video can be, this is what I've got. The second video can be, right, it's snowing, let's go and do Hoff scenes like everybody does when it snows. And then, like, you can go in the woods and go, let's do a bit of end, or at least that one figure is getting, like, you can make multiple different things with that one figure. Whereas some people just literally relying on this is what I've bought, put it on the shelf, next video, this is what I've bought. And so I like how your content does that, how you sort of, it's not just this is what I bought and it's on the shelf, and we might see it in our video when you do like a room tour, but that's sort of it. At least you're getting your money out of your figures, really. I think that's probably what you're doing well.
But it does help though when you do resale as well, because that means because I've got like money that I've got that resell with, and obviously selling stuff, money balls it and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. But it's just, it makes it easier because you could go out and I could spend a bit of money on it, which is like my Empire Toys money, and not have a buyer's remorse on it, because I know I'm going to be selling it.
Yeah.
Whereas that if I use my own money that, like, you know, pays the bills and buys the shopping, I definitely sometimes if I go a bit too heavy and buy a few things, I'm like, oh god, I shouldn't have done that. Like, I get a lot more buyer's remorse out of that, if that makes sense. Yeah, I've tried to think outside the box of content and not just get thrown and stuck in that trap of I just need to buy things and videos.
Yeah, 100%.
So David for Toy World's asking for car boot sale question: do you go for yourself or do you help other collectors out? And which is more important?
I'll go first. I go for myself. Like, I don't think there's any way of trying to beat around the bush on that one. I go for myself. I know people in Toy Division that go to my car boot sales who are local to me, and I help them out. Andy and Dan, we have a pack of, if there's anything we find at the car boot sales when we're there together that even one of us collect, that person gets, even if I find something that Andy collects, like I found Battle Beasts and Laser Beasts at the boot fair, first person I go to is Andy. Like, I found the mentality is that we just help each other out. I know I've done it with Dan as well, and the guys have done it for me and everything. So we help each other out there. And again, a few people in Toy Division that I've seen around our boot fairs and stuff, always help them out. But again, I don't want to sound like it's definitely a winner takes all at the car boot sales. It's trying to say it in the right context, but you don't want to help someone out and think, yeah, I'm a collector, all that sort of stuff, and then all of a sudden you see on eBay that stuff you've helped them out with, and you're like, oh, Do you know what I mean? It's difficult. It's difficult to say that in a nice way, but yeah, definitely go for myself and the boys and anyone in the toy division family.
I think it's the community of it all, isn't it? I know, like when I chat to people, the first thing I normally ask them is, "What do you collect?" Because where I am, it's like, well, obviously you can't go shopping around these car boot sales or these stores where I live because you're 3 hours drive away. So normally I'm like, "Oh, what do you collect?" And then once they tell me, if I see it, I'd send them. Like, it's even stupid things. I did it the other day because I know somebody from watching your videos. I know somebody who likes Police Academy figures. Somebody put up a shop in Wales, and obviously you see the photos of the glass cabinets. You're looking through the glass cabinet to see if there's anything for yourself, and there's like boxed Police Academy figures in the bottom of it. So you screenshot it, send it over, and go, "Look, I don't know. I think I've done it with you, Aaron. I've gone. I don't know if you collected this. I know you collect this stuff, and I don't know if it's interest to you, but I've seen this, and do you know it's not in your natural. It's not in your benefit, or only of just building the community to sort it together." But you're collecting, and you
I always try and help people. Like when I felt Darren did, remember that I sent you. You were looking for them, so I ended up sending Aaron a few of the Power Ranger keys.
Yeah, I think I've still got a couple that I kept. I can't reach them. Yeah, there's one of them there.
So I sent Aaron quite a few of them because he went and found the morpher, but he wanted to test the morpher to see if it was working.
Oh, I've still never tested
it. If I find stuff, like Andy was looking for a Peely, so I had a spare Peely, so I ended up doing a trade with Andy at Andy's Toys and Models, so I ended up giving him that, and then I ended up finding the odd item, so I just kind of put stuff in that he didn't know he was getting.
But that's the community spirit.
Yeah,
definitely helping people out that way. Sorry, I kind of thought Dave's question was more at the car boot sales. Would you be helping people out? But yeah, no, I definitely. I know what people collect from seeing them on their Instagrams and stuff. So if anything comes up, you do message people straight away saying, "Look, I've got this. Any good to you?"
And it only takes seconds, doesn't it? Do you know, it's just you can just take a photo, send it, and go if you're interested. I know I've seen it with people going and in like the retro figures for the Star Wars stuff. They go into Asda and they take a photo and they post it and they'll be like, "I'm here for 40 minutes. If you want it, let us know." You know, and I think that's the community thing, and I think that's what brings the community together with it, because it's so when you do meet up finally with these people that you've never met, but you've probably sort of traded or bought them things sort of, and you know them that way rather than personal till then.
It isn't just about buying or selling and showing and tell. What that item means to you, whether you wanted it for a long time or favorite thing, and also giving your collection or display personality. That's very true.
Yeah.
And that's just exactly what we were saying, wasn't it? There's no point buying things for the sake of it. Nice hot toy collection behind you would look awesome. Yeah, nice, cool.
So that's the thing. Would you buy a hot toy though, Aaron, if you had the money?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, same.
100%.
Do you think it's just because they're not readily available over here as such? Like you see them figures in America.
They are regularly available over here. I just don't
online.
Yeah, I know Vic's shop. Cool. I know they stock hot toys, and they've got they're going in there like, I don't know how they do it, but the Iron Man or War Machine or Patreon or Hulk, whatever one they do, they just seem to get them so good. Mark, you're right, bro.
Good blue. What place for the win?
Yeah, I would. If I have this conversation regularly with Vic, and so I'm like, oh, should I just sell a load of Black Series and just get a hot toy and get a couple of hot toys? And then it's like, yeah, but you can't take them out for once you buy them, they go in the cabinet and they stay there.
Yeah.
So I have ummed and ahed about sort of going down the hot toy route, especially after seeing the like the deluxe Mandalorian, like the troopers they make are just awesome. Like the stormtroopers, the shore troopers, like they are really good. But then again, it would just be another thing that you buy it, it goes in the back of the shelf, and you just want to buy the next thing. And instead of having 4 or 5 cool individuals, got one statue, as good as they are. Do you know what I mean? So
I've got like from where I live, there's literally the only place I'm buying hot toys is either at shows or online. There's literally nothing. But I've got a few statues, but like you said, they're expensive and they look like spot on, but they are just things that you buy. You like, especially with statues, you and ah about taking them out of the box, because you know if you crack one or like the shelf drops, then that's the end of that. You'll sort of forget it. You might as well just sort of sweep it up in the bin. But it is one of those things you've got to, if you do display it, you've got to have a nice standalone display for it, really. Like it would take like a whole shelf in one of your stores, at which you probably could fit 50 different figures on if you wanted to, do you know? So it is, but they are nice. And I think when you see them, you do go, wow, I'd like one of those, or I'd like 2 of those. Just of your favorite. But I think you'd have to be quite specific and go in, I love this character. This is the best scope I've seen of him. Like I saw them, I think it was the Iron Spider. And I like Spider-Man, and like he's cool and all. but I saw that and I was like, I'd even buy that. Do you know, it just had that look about it. You were like, wow. But then you're like, it's got that wow, but then it goes in the shelf. But I think sort of things like that, you kind of, when you do look at them again, you still go, wow, that is cool. You don't sort of just forget it as quickly, I think, as some of smaller figures.
Yeah, see, I've got I'm going down the 1/6 scale later on in the year. I've pre-ordered the 3-0 Green Ranger, which is a 1/6 scale.
Right.
Forward to that. So,
but then that's your thing, isn't it? Sort of, you like the Green Ranger, so you know the danger is you'll get him, you'll think he's so good, he looks a bit lonely. I guess that's the only danger you're going to have there.
I could definitely see that a problem with Aaron.
Looks a bit lonely on that shelf.
Buys the rest of them.
Be a rabbit hole for Aaron. Like,
we need to be a. It will need to It needs someone to go first. That one needs someone to go first.
Yeah, because you're going to have to clear a nice gap for him so nothing else damages him or falls on him or anything like that. And
I'll work it out. Yeah. Hot Toys, like Blue Harvest has put in the comments, he's put a great investment on them. They are. And as soon as they go off, as soon as they get taken off market, they're sold out, they're off pre-order, whatever, bang, straight up by £100 each one, straight away. So, yeah, they're amazing. They're so good. They are so good.
I think Mark's got the Princess Leia one? Hot Toys. I'm sure it's the Princess Leia one. I've heard him talking about Princess Leia quite a lot in his videos.
Okay.
I think the scopes on them are just getting better. That's the only sort of thing I didn't like. Well, like when I see the Hot Toys, is they do one, and then a few years later they bring another one out. Obviously, because technology's got better and the way they're building them's got better. But they've still cost you quite a packet to begin with, and obviously you could resell it to buy the newer one. But then would most people be thinking that idea as well, and therefore not wanting to buy yours for its current value because they want to get the new one as well? Because like the Mandalorian, there's tons of those Mandalorians come out with different armor and deluxe, and so you really, I think, like for me, I haven't got the money to go and buy 3 or 4 different Mandalorians because they keep changing them. So I'd have to be pretty solid on my commitment to which one I buy, and I know what would happen. I'd buy one and be sorted with it, and then they'd release another one, and I'd just be like, "That's much better. Why didn't I just wait?" And then you go down that route of, do you sell it, or what do you do with it then?
That's probably the thing with hot toys, is because they've got so many different variations. It's like, what if you want a Mandalorian? If you want Mando, is like, what Mando do you go for, or what Rey do you go for, or what Vader do you go for, or
yeah, and if you're only going to buy one,
always...
if you are going to buy one to be like a bit like a centerpiece of your collection, where do you go, and then does that get you into the habit then having to buy another one, and then that's two. And
see, for me, if they done what, I don't know if they do Harley Quinn hot toy figurines, but if they did, that's what I would buy. I would have to have a Harley Quinn.
But then, there's got to be a particular outfit. Like, do you know which? Do you know? And then if they don't do that outfit at the moment, and you're ready to buy one, do you buy one which you go, man, that outfit's cool, but I'm only buying that cool one because my better one isn't there. Because sod's law is you buy it and then they're released.
Me being a big Harley Quinn fan, love the character, and that would be a big major decision, is like which version do I go for, because there's so many different variations here at the minute.
Well, that,
and because they keep changing, it's hard to keep track. Even though she started off as an anti-hero kind of thing, so it's hard to say, right, well, do I go for this Harley Quinn? Do I go for the classic one? Do I go for one of the new ones? Or do I go for this one? But then you have to get the money first to get, because I'm sure there is a Harley Quinn one. I'm sure it's about £700. £700 for the one that I like, but it's not everybody's cup of tea.
But that's where then the Black Series and that sort of thing comes into play. You can actually then afford to own multiple versions, because it's not got the grand scheme of it, but you've got all the different versions you like, and you've not paid that full price on it all.
Sorry, I've just been looking at hot toys on eBay.
we saw the reflection of the rabbit hole you were falling down.
Is that like a Hot Toys kind of style figurine?
What's that? Sorry.
Kind of Power Ranger that you've ordered, the Green Power Ranger, is that like a Hot Toys style?
Yeah,
kind of figure, or is it just...
I think Hot Toys are standard 1/6, aren't they? They do a couple of bigger ones, but I think 1/6 is the standard they come in. But so it's pretty much the same. I think it's clothed. The Ranger suit's clothed, or sort of spandexy.
They will have made the technology the same now, wouldn't they? I imagine if they did Power Rangers years ago for Hot Toys, they would have developed, because some of the clothing that's coming on these Hot Toys now is unbelievable. It's the quality that's coming out on them.
I think NECA own 3.0 anyway, so it's going to be a decent standard to begin with. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be interesting. Pictures on it look.
You'll know what will happen is that they'll start off with the Rangers, and then they'll go into. They might end up making like Zeta, Rita, and all that. You'll be like, oh, they have to buy a Rita to go in my. It's going to be It's going to be one of those big decisions. It's like how far do you go?
Oh, if they did a 1/6 scale Goldar, Jesus Christ.
I think that's the problem, isn't it? Is that you'll get one because you like it, and then obviously you've got your favorite characters, and then as soon as you're not even looking for it, but as soon as that got dropped, you then just be like, well, I got to get it, mate.
Definitely. Oh, don't. 350 quid for the deluxe Mandalorian hot toy on eBay.
Oh. Well, I've just heard news that the town that I live in could be getting a B&M, which is bad news for me for toy wise, because I'm going to be in there every week if we do get one.
I thought you were going to say for a second there B&M are getting hot toys. I was like, what?
Aaron, straight down there.
Isn't Asda getting the Entertainer going into Asda? I heard that the Entertainer's going into Asda.
I don't have an Asda near me. I have an Entertainer, but I don't have an Asda. It's like I don't have a Morrison's either. Literally just Tesco's and Sainsbury's in my town. It's ridiculous.
But that'd be because Asda's always sort of, even though it's always been the toy shop sort of locally to us
Yeah.
that has always had the toys. Like
Yeah,
they had the
because-
mask and they had the He-Man and they had all of that when I was a kid. That was where you bought it from.
But a lot of that is because Asda, for us, is basically Walmart for the US because they're owned by the same company.
Anymore?
They have the same parent company. So that's why if you look on the Asda logo, it has the Walmart logo on it as well because they're part of the same family.
Right.
So
I've got a thing here that I'm going to show. I mean, this is a 1/6 scale. This is probably the closest I'll get to Hot Toys, and I think I've posted this on the Toy Division group as well. Just give me a minute to. So that is the closest I'll get to a Hot Toy.
Barbed wire. Did you buy that on release, or have you bought that later on in life?
I got this off of Amazon. This was in Amazon's warehouse deals section on their app. So I picked that up, man. I think I paid 30 quid or something for it. So that's the closest that I'll get to Hot Toy.
Yeah, there.
But it's always good to actually go into the Amazon warehouse deals because I've seen Hot Toys gone on there for like 200-300 quid as well. And majority of the time it's just the box is damaged. But I know you've got guys out there that they want the boxes perfect, they're not wanting them damaged. But if you're quite happy with a wee bit, if you're going to take them out and display, then the box is not going to be an issue. But I mean, it's always a good idea just to always double check like Amazon warehouse deals because the amount of things that I've found and it's like, oh, it says the box is damaged or it's ripped, and you actually get it and it's like, this is brand new. So I don't know how they actually grade it or who's ever grading it. They're not doing the job that they should be doing. So I've got a He-Man figure there. It's Light Hope, and that come in its own box, but the box was damaged. The box had like a knife. So somebody's put a knife through it. Had a slam label on it. But when it opened actually up, there was nothing up with the figure itself. I mean, it's still, the bubble was still clear. There was no cracks on the bubble. The backing card was perfect. So I basically got nearly £100 figure for half of what it should have been. I was watching that for about a month before I made a decision to buy it.
Nice.
But it's like buying stuff online. You've kind of got to be kind of wary. Because I don't know if you've seen the post with the Skeletor that I got. I mean, that come in a jiffy bag. That should never come in a jiffy bag.
100%.
But I wasn't fussy about the packaging because the ones are going to get opened up anyway. I'm going to start displaying them once I get my hands on them and that. But for people that are collecting and want them on mint, I mean, even the card art's awesome on it. So even if you manage to cut the bubble off, you can always keep that card art. But if it's all crumpled and it's no worth to anybody.
100%.
Do you want to hit some more comments through?
So nice to see everyone's options on these toys, aye. What's this deal? They already have in Watford.
I guess that
Is it?
could be the Asda.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's done.
Walmart sold.
Oh, did Walmart sell?
Bastards.
I knew they were. I knew they
See,
were.
the thing with the Walmart, I think that's why the entertainer. What I've heard is that I think that's why they want to get the entertainer in there because they want to get rid of George. the closing line. So I don't know how that's going to work. Is it going to be?
If they replace the George in my Asda for an entertainer, then that's pretty much half the store. So that'd be great.
I think that's half. I think that's half the store for a lot of Asdas.
So that'd be great news.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that if the entertainer does go into Asda's, is it going to be a shop within a shop, or is it just going to be the toy aisle in an Asda's? It's just going to be from
I think
stuff.
What I've heard is it's just the aisles sort of being advertised as the toy shop or the entertainer. So it's just got like the logos and the stuff around it, but you pay for it.
Entertainer will probably control prices as well.
Yeah,
and I guess the entertainer prices aren't actually that bad. Like, from when I've been in an entertainer and I've had a look to see what they have, their stuff isn't like that overly expensive. It's affordable, especially like the Lego and stuff. Like, Lego's expensive.
The thing about the entertainer is that they buy in other companies' overstock, so they don't buy that much from. Say they don't buy their stuff from Hasbro direct or Mattel. They tend to buy sort of shipping containers, that sort of stuff from companies that.
Yeah.
So there was a big thing a couple of years ago where they bought up loads of old Black Series stock from Spain. Hence why they were able to pump out loads of Black Series. You know, they had like bins full of Black Series figures for a couple of quid. Because they
isn't it like the Rogue One ones? They had like all of them was just dropped for like a few pound each.
Yeah, and they had like all of a sudden they had the Series 1 Darth Maul and Sand Trooper just appear. These were like 40, 50 pound figures on the second-hand market were getting sold in the entertainer for a tenner. People going in there and just claiming them up. It was quite funny to watch on the people falling out on the Facebook groups about that. But yeah, so that's how they buy this. That's where they got all their pops from. I think all their pops, when they got into Funkos, they all came from the entertainer. Toys R Us.
Yeah, because some of the pops used to have the Toys R Us exclusive stickers on. Because when I was buying Star Wars pops, there was a few, and you could you find the odd one that said Toys R Us exclusive and things like that on it. Months after.
B&M's got a lot of Toys R Us stock as well. That's how B&M's got a lot of stuff in last year and the year before. That's so they got their Ghostbusters and all that, all the Ghostbusters figures. Because I've got a couple. They've got the Toys R Us foil from an exclusive from an.
Didn't they buy a lot of underground toys as well? The blue little stickers that are on them as well. B&M had a load of those as well, which were like the white prototype Boba Fett they had, which was a.
But it's like talking about the entertainer. The entertainer's prices are kind of strange because I remember last year they brought in the classic wrestlers. Remember they were selling them for like £6 odds, and then within a week they went up to like 15 quid. So where did they start off at £6 and then within a week they were basically up to £15 selling them? So is that because folk were buying them, they decided to put the price up, or? But I've never noticed that when
I know when I don't know if your guys, but if you got one bike local to you, but I know when we started going into lockdown, they did a huge sale where it was like buy one get one free on Lego and everything. Which sort of Lego was normally you can have any, like you get so many emails, don't you, from different toy places saying discount on, and then always at the bottom it says excludes Lego, excludes video games and tokens, sort of voucher sort of thing. But they were even doing the Lego at like buy two and get the cheapest one free. Because I think that theory was that they wanted to get footfall through the door to make the money. So when they closed it for COVID, then they would still have some money in the bank, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So they do good sales.
What?
Yeah,
It's like with the
Before.
pops at the minute, man. Majority of their pops are about £6 each, apart from like the exclusive ones that now they're getting in, or the big 6-inch ones or the 12-inch ones. Because I know before we went into lockdown at Christmas time, they had they had Grogu, they had the Mandalorian, they had Olaf, and they even go back in the Power Ranger one as well, the Megazord one.
yeah,
And then they've got the big massive Batman. It's like £100. The big pop that's about £100.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's
18-inch one or something.
but the even Tesco's now are selling pops.
Well, they've been selling them for what? 2
Yeah,
years
but-
now, I think.
Yeah, they got in a lot of the obviously because of no Comic Cons and nothing could happen this year. There was so much this year, last year, there was so much stock pre-made for them to be sold as exclusives. They had to get rid of them somewhere. So
Actually,
it's
no,
good
it's
to see.
Halloween. They got a lot of Halloween pops in. No, my Tesco's got a lot of Halloweenish pops in. Now they're selling them for like pennies because nobody's wanting them now. No,
So do
one's
you
buying
guys
them for
buy
Halloween.
Funko Pops then? Do you guys like them? Do you guys like them and think they got their place, or do you guys buy them? Or because I know this is like some people just hate them clean. They're just, and I know they're money spinners and but that's what they're designed for. But do
I
you
liked them
like?
in the beginning. I've not got any for a while. But I mean, I do have quite a few. I mean, I've got majority of the He-Man ones. That was what basically started me off. As soon as I seen the He-Man, it's like, oh, I need to buy the He-Man. I need to buy He-Man. I need to buy Skeletor. And then next thing I knew, I managed to get Trapjaw, and then this, and then that, and then it kind of just went a bit crazy.
I started collecting pops. I had about 100 odd, and now I've sold a majority of them. The only ones I've kept are some of my Avenger ones. I've got the Flash, the Green Arrow. I've got the Gold Shenron Dragon Ball Z giant pop, the giant Megazord pop, the Green Ranger that his helmet off, White Ranger, and
It's going into the abyss.
I got a Squirtle.
So you had 100 and now you got like 98.
I think I've got about like 14 out of 100 now, and I'm happy. Like I don't want any more pops, so I can't be asked of them.
What about you, Aaron? You got many?
But again, they're just ones that fit in with the collection. Like Chris said, I've got a couple of Green Ranger ones. I've got some music ones up there, like full set of Metallica, full set of Slayer. I've got two of the Lost Boys because it's difficult to get like figures for Lost Boys. So I've got Michael and David up there. I've got Hopper from Stranger Things when he's wearing his 80s shirt from the third season because I just, it's Hopper in like a shirt, isn't it? It's just kind of what else?
But I think it's good because they do figures that we never got as figures. Like I know, like some of the first ones I got was Big Trouble in Little China figures, Funko Pops, and Karate Kid. Those were the sort of ones that hooked me in at first because you just never, as a kid, when the films were out and things like that, you just never got, like, you might have got a T-shirt or some pajamas or something with it on. But same with Goonies, really. There wasn't really those sort of films that are quite iconic. And Back to the Future, for instance, and they've started doing that sort of stuff now. But you didn't have the toys of those, so I think it's clever how it's got that sort of exposure and it's got a place. Yeah. They're not action figures. They are what they are. Some of them can go stupidly high, but they are what they are. But they're money makers for them. It's
all I know is that whoever was I'd love to have been a shareholder in Funko.
Yeah. Because they've been around for years, haven't they? And then it was this that sort of blew them up, sort of thing.
There was a great document. They've taken it off now, which is really, really annoying. But there was a great documentary on them on Netflix.
Right.
Really, really good. Like even if you didn't collect Funko, it was just great, like interesting to see because it basically starts from interviews from when they were basically in the basement of their house making bobbleheads.
Yeah.
So all the way
Wacky
to the point
Wobblers or
of
whatever they.
they're opening that in San Francisco. No, not San Francisco. Wherever they were lived, based, opening like Funko Pop World, basically.
It's in
And
Hollywood, I think.
mate, isn't a really good documentary because it shows them how they came up with the idea of Chase and all the little weird things they did at the start that just blew up. So it's really annoying. It's taken off. I need to try and remember what it was called. I'll let you guys know. It's just interesting to watch.
It's interesting. I was watching not to advertise other people's YouTube things, but I was watching the wrestling guys do a major podcast thing.
Yeah,
and
he's on it.
I don't collect wrestling figures, but they got the guy from Super 7 on there talking about how he's done the new wave of the Japanese wrestlers on there, and the sort of information that he's telling you, and it could relate to any figure. In fairness, it's just he's showing it on how he wants action figures to not show the pins in the legs and how they should bend with the articulation and things. You know, and you watch them and you see the science that these guys go behind to part of you goes, oh, they're just spinning them to make money. But then when you listen to things like that, like you said with the Funko, you really see there's more to it than them just spinning money. That's the main aim, but they've sort of there's more to it. They're doing it for the fans. They're doing it for the people to make sure they're right.
Yeah, 100%. So the documentary was called "Making Fun: The Story of Funko." So it's not. I don't think it's on Netflix anymore. But if you can try and find it, worth a watch.
Ways and means, isn't there?
Definitely.
Let me get on YouTube.
But yeah, it's so we all own Funko Pops then, so they're not that bad to everybody.
They're fine. I think when people go a bit OTT over hating them, it's a bit like I
think the exposure of the different sort of brands and the things that people are remembering. I think that's all good, you know, when you go into a shop and you see something that you had, because they do all sorts of random stuff that you wouldn't even like think that they would make a pop for, because obviously to tool a pop must be a lot cheaper than tooling an action figure.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. But
it's like when Pops first came out, for me, I was just picking up the Star Wars characters, and then you know, they started bringing Marvel out, and then they were bringing some DC out, and then they were bringing computer game versions, and then as soon as they brought the He-Man, as soon as I think it was on Instagram, I seen somebody with the Moss Man, and it's like, oh, I really need to get one of them, and I ended up managing to pick up not the first wave, because the first wave now is through the roof, but I managed to get the second wave of the He-Man figures, and after that, it's like as soon as I went to B&M started getting them in, and it's like because they were only a $5 in B&M, she's like, oh, I'll have that one, I'll have that one, I'll have that one, and then when Entertainer was doing them, there was one time Entertainer was selling for like £4 a pop, so you were like having a look, it's like, oh, that character of that, and before you think, it's like, I've got like 200 pops here, what am I going to do with them?
But like even pops and Entertainer, like a pop usually goes for what, above £10 in other places. Entertainers selling for what? I think they're like $6.99 in Entertainer. And like the 9 times out of 10 they'll have a deal on, like, you know, you'll get the big like 10-inch ones for like a tenner when they're usually like 20 to 30 quid. And it's like, actually, that's not bad.
How much you buy in bulk, and obviously if these wholesalers have got hundreds of these things that no one, like characters that no one wants, absolute no characters that, like, even if they put them down to a couple of quid, people still ain't going to buy them. If Mr. Entertainer comes along and gives a good price for them, then they're going to sell them, aren't they? And then the entertainer can then distribute them between their hundreds of stalls.
Well, the Entertainer that obviously in my town, I quite often have a look in there just to see what Black Series they've got. Before lockdown, they were moving all their Funko stuff, so they had them in like one of those middle aisle sections at first, and like I think they just like ended up getting so much stock in that they had to rearrange the store. So they've now got all the Lego in the middle aisle, and where the Lego was, they've now got just a wall of Funko. But what bothers me is they've displayed them wrong. So I get why they've displayed them this way, because they're a shop. They need to display them so you can actually see the Funko. But they've displayed them face on so you can see the actual pop. But if they wanted to get more on those shelves, they could have just turned them sideways. Because that's how I have the ones that I've got displayed. They're sideways. I can still see the pop. I can see the name. I can see the number they've been given. But I can fit more on my shelf. So if they had done that at first, they wouldn't have needed to keep moving them all the time. It's just... I keep on looking at them, just like I would rearrange that wall within an hour.
You just go in and do it for them.
Yeah, I don't just pay me in a Black Series figure, and I'll rearrange
they give you a pop.
Funko.
They're not going to give you a Black Series. They give you a pop.
Oh, I don't want a pop. I want a Black Series.
You can have the Speed Racer one that our Home Bargains is selling for $2.99.
Is it the tiny
Speed
one?
Racer? No, they got them for $2.99 in our Home Bargains pops.
That's not bad.
But they are like they're pops that nobody wants. They've obviously
that's.
I mean, it's sort of Speed Racer, for instance, is such a niche sort of market for it. You know, the cartoon was good. I don't know what the toy line was like for it. I know the film wasn't that great.
Never watched the film, so
don't watch the film.
Don't watch the film. Is it one of those films where you pretend it doesn't exist?
Well, I think Speed Racer originally sort of designed. I think it was like manga originally, and then obviously they've tried to make a Hollywood film, and it's just
as they do, yeah.
And then for some random reason, I've never seen that pop before. I've never even seen that it was being sold, and then all of a sudden it was $2.99 in Home Bargains. So obviously it did well.
Probably one pop that hopefully will get made. I wish they would make a Critters pop for the Critters movie. I wish they would. I would love them to make a Critters pop. I would buy that definitely.
I never saw Critters.
I think it's all just licensing, isn't it? I just want them. I would love them to get the. A lot of people will probably hate me, but I'd love them to get the license for Mask. If they could find out, like, if people could find out actually who owns that license, because obviously that's why we've never had nothing for Mask, because nobody really knows who owns the license for it.
Hasbro still own it.
Well, I think it was all sort of they bought. It's sort of where it's been bought, and by the seams of it, it's been bought by somebody, and it's got like lost in translation of who actually owns it. And from what I think,
what you got to do is someone's just got to turn up and just start making more stuff, and whoever turns up and tries to sue them, you'll be like, right, you own it. Let's talk.
Yeah, I think Tats Toys was when he did his YouTube thing. He said that I think it's just literally somebody's got to bite the bullet, make something, and then get a cease and desist order, and then they know who's actually making the line. But yeah. I would love them to make Mask pops. Just to get Mask back in the shop, you know, to have with or without the helmets, if they like, you know, they could put them on and off, something like that. It would be amazing to and just bring Mask back.
Hasbro at the moment still own the toy line for Mask.
It's out of all the toys that are getting remade, and you've got your retro, like your remade Power Rangers, your remade Turtles, Star Wars retros, Transformer G.I. Joe. It seems really weird that they haven't touched Mask yet. It's almost like
I think it is something to do. I don't know the exact, but I think it's something that they're unsure. People are unsure of who actually to approach to get the license to do it. Sort of. There's probably much more into it than what I've sort of heard, but it just seems odd that there's other things being made that weren't, in my opinion, as popular as what Mask was when I was a kid, that they've not touched, and they brought other things in, and you're just like, why is that not like? Why hasn't Super 7 tried it with reaction figures, because that would be like they'd be close to the originals, I suppose. So they probably. But you've even got Defenders of the Earth. Is it NECA doing Defenders of the Earth figures? There's 3 of them coming out. Do you know? And that's quite like a line that wasn't really. I don't know for you guys, but like I was saying before stream, that I could only buy Defenders of the Earth figures from the Saturday morning market, because the Saturday morning market from where I lived was sold like B range figures. So if you wanted all your He-Man and Mask, you went to Asda. If you wanted your Defenders of the Earth or Pirates of Dark Water or things like that, you went to the Saturday morning market, and that's where you pick them up from. But they're getting a release, you know. And I've seen a statue of Centurion. They're doing like a statue with 3 Centurions. It's not opposable, I don't think. It's just like a diorama statue. But even Centurions is getting a sort of being pushed. People have gone, yeah. And so
you can say it for everything. Visionary, Supernaturals, all these great old school toys that I just need to Brave Star. Someone can remake them, people will buy them.
Yeah, and I think like as much as Funko gets hit on, it's cheap to make it Funko. So and at least Funko could show the demand, because they could drop it at a Comic-Con. People would go mad for it. Like you imagine a Brave Star Funko Pop come out, you know, and him and was it Tex Hex, and then you imagine if those came out, people would go mad for those, I reckon. And then that would show that hey, it wasn't that big a thing, but it's big enough that there's a following, and then they can look at tooling and obviously make
Silverhawks, Thundercats, 100%. Tiger Sharks, dinosaurs. The list goes on. The list goes.
It's like the dinosaurs. There was meant to be toys released when that cartoon come out, but the cartoon never done well, because it was only 12 episodes. I'm sure it was for the dinosaurs, and they were wanting to see how the cartoon went first before they released the toys. But they also there's prototypes of the dinosaurs toys, but they're like thousands of pounds worth.
I think they did get made, but they were made by a Mexican or a Brazilian toy company. So, yeah, extremely hard to find. But seriously, yeah, the list goes on. Like, Produce is mentioned Street Sharks, Biker Mice. Yeah, 100%, dude. 100%. Like, the list goes on. Turn into Funkos.
But I was, I've been watching. Go on.
I said there's other things as well. Like, you could say Willow. Willow only had Tonka Toys made Willow. Apart from the Ebanosk or whatever they call it, they're not great figures. Like they look like little tin army things that give them character. But so someone could come along and make a proper toy, then people will buy them. Just look at the Dark Crystal. Everyone went mad for the Funko Dark Crystal figures. I know Willow's coming back. They're making a TV series or something. But yeah, it's again another line that you can go mad for, because it never had anything to begin with. Never ending story. Never had any proper toys. No. They look like weird bootlegs if you ever find them. They're awful.
But Dungeons and Dragons is the same, isn't it? The cartoon of that. How huge was that over here?
Yeah,
and then
there was a toy line for Dungeons,
but they're not. But they're still a limited sort of toy line, aren't they?
Oh, they're proper toys.
Oh, have they? I guess they didn't come to my Saturday morning markets. I bought them up.
Seriously, Google them. It's a cool toy line, the Dungeons and Dragons ones.
But like I said, I've been watching like a load of retro cartoons that I grew up with. Visionaries got 13 episodes. That's all Visionaries got, was 13 episodes. And look how huge that is off 13 episodes. Like, because the toy line on that sort of set when they come out with the plates, like Supernaturals, when they come out with the holograms, we all used to go mad for them because it was just something different. But it's funny how you got some cartoons have just been banging. Some seasons have gone on for ages and ages. I think He-Man's got like 120 episodes, whereas something like Visionaries is really pretty much as like, it's not up there with Masters Universe, but just 13 episodes, and it's got such a following. And I think sort of bringing those sort of things out would, doing that stuff is, even for a cartoon that small, there's definitely a market for it.
Same with like computer. I'm sure it was Computer Warriors, man. They made a cartoon of that. Then they made the figures, and then they made play sets. I mean, some of the play sets for that are nuts. Like you get alarm clocks, you get like one that looks like a Coke can, you get one that looks like a football, one that looks like a telephone. And I remember seeing them at the markets. Like, I've never seen them in the shops, but it's like what Jason just says is that you always seem to find that toy lines at markets, either your Saturday market or your Sunday market. You never really went to like Woolies or Asda's and seen them.
Definitely.
So David's asking another question. Would you want OG toys or new ones, but done like the retro?
So like the retro collection of Star Wars stuff, I guess. What do you guys feel about like those retro collection ones where they've tried? I know they're slightly different, but they've tried to remake the old figures, but new. Do you like that idea, or should they look new because they are new?
I like them, and I'm not being funny. The way they did the Ghostbusters, all this stuff. You can't have a multi-billion company like Hasbro who don't know how much their toys are making, and they're going to sit there and go, well, why is Aaron making £100 on a Ken of Venkman? I don't making numbers up, but do you know what I mean? Making money off a retro figure from 30 years ago. Screw it. Let's just remake them now. And we'll make the money instead. So you doing it, and
do you think they take away from the old ones?
Evening, Pete.
Because it's like what you said earlier. Because the old ones will always have that personal meaning to you. Like I picked up the retro Boba Fett because I just wanted the retro Boba Fett on a car back, and I think it's probably a lot of everyone. It's a figure that I like. Aesthetically looks good in my collection, but it's nothing other than just I'll never pay the money for a vintage one.
You never own the original one on a card back like that in that condition, and
exactly.
But I did like how they in the retro collection they did that wave 3, and it was a Mandalorian wave.
Yes,
I like how they did that.
Well, that's what I was about to say, and this is what I say with the Ghostbuster stuff. Instead of make a couple of the re-releases of them, like your Bobbers, like your Stormtroopers, the ones that are going to sell, like your Vaders. But I know Kenner sort of did it. Hasbro did it with the Star Wars because they made a Grand Moff Tarkin. Make these figures, and like you're saying about the Mandalorians, make these retro figures, but give the people the figures that they never had back then. So all of a sudden, you're like, Mr. 80 Star Wars. You've got all your 80 Star Wars vintage. You love your vintage Star Wars. That's cool. But you don't have a Grand Moff Tarkin. So here is a brand new, even though it's brand new 2021, but here's Grand Moff Tarkin. Here's the characters that you never had. You will buy them, and that will fit into your collection. Same with the Kenner Ghostbusters. Why they never made the characters from the cartoon that they never made back then? All the different monsters and stuff that they made. Remake them.
They know they can make 100 Boba Fett's, and they know they'll sell them, and they do. They make the key characters because they know they're going to sell them. But I guess it's that they know they're hitting the collectors now. They're not hitting kids; they're hitting collectors. Yeah. So making these other characters is what the collectors. I was talking to my brother about the reaction figures the other day, and he's big into video games, and Zelda's like one of the best ones we like. And I was like, could you imagine if they made characters not of Zelda and Link and Ganon, but the shopkeeper and the people you had to do side quests for? Why don't they make those characters? Because they're the ones that you've got tons of Link and Zeldas, but these are the sort of, and it's the same with the cartoons, like you said. these side characters are the ones that not necessarily had big parts in cartoons, but they're the ones that you haven't got, or you had to use when you did sort of play those scenarios with the toys, you had to take that figure from another set of something else and pretend it was that guy.
Yeah. No, agree. Make the figure, and that's the same with
the retro. This is like,
sorry, mate.
I've got a question here for you, retro. I don't know if Blue Harvest is still here, but see the retro ones, even though they're basically the same as the original, did any of the characters have issues holding their weapons in the original series? The only reason I'm asking is because I've got the Princess Leia one, right? But she will not hold her gun properly. As soon as you touch the figure, the gun falls out of your hands. It's like they've made the grip. They've not made it tight enough for her to hold the gun, so it's too wide. And I've noticed that with the Han Solo. The Han Solo one, his gun is far too thick for his hand. It'll not go in his hand. So I don't know if the original, I can't remember if the original toys had that issue or if it's just.
I think though that with the retro, that like I heard somebody say about the reaction stuff as well, because I've been looking at it, but they even though Super 7s they're not designed to stay on the card, because of the artwork on them, people are saying they're figures to be bought to be left on the card, which I know sort of goes against they're a toy and they should be popped open, and there's different arguments. But by the way those Star Wars are designed, with the sort of they've made it look like the cards are sort of creased and got damage to them. In my head, they're selling them to be left on the card because they're selling them to collectors. Like you can pop them open and give them to kids to play with.
On the web tonight, that's fine.
Which is fair enough, but I think
let's just go back, guys. First wave once they were made in China.
So I'm not sure if they're meant to or not, but I've always looked at those ones as in they're selling them to collectors, and collectors of vintage Star Wars want vintage carded Star Wars, so they will buy them and keep them on the card. Like, have you opened your Boba Fett that you bought, or you keep that on the card?
I've kept that on the card
because it's a Boba Fett and you want it on the card. Yeah. And I'm the same. I've got them, and I'm even in two minds of whether to peel the stickers off them or not, because the retro stickers can peel off because they sort of just hide some of the art. So I'm sort of in two minds to go, do you peel the sticker off and then make it look nice to display, but know that if anybody ever wanted to buy these in the future, they're going to want that retro sticker on them because that's how it came in the box. But for personal appeal, I'm like, I'll take the sticker off because, like you said, it's the only way I'm ever going to own a boxed Boba Fett.
Exactly. But
so they're expecting people to keep them on cards, but not everybody's going to keep them on cards.
Yeah, of course not. Some people will buy, because how many people's going to buy like a Princess Leia with a white cape that's not ripped?
Yeah. And
how many people are going to get a Stormtrooper that's clean white? Like if you've
also, I think a lot of people that will be collecting them as well will just want the old ones regardless. Why would you, if you're collecting vintage, want to have vintage Star Wars at the end of the day? Now, so you're always going to collect vintage Star Wars, and then you're going to go, right, well, I can buy a loose Boba Fett with a gun for 20, 30 quid or whatever, how much he's worth or whatever. Excellent, I can afford that, but I can't afford 500, 600 quid for him in box. So I'll buy the loose one, so I have the vintage loose one, and then I'll just go down to Tesco's and buy the retro. And then I've got it on the retro box, but I've got the actual proper vintage figure to be, my vintage. They're cool things. I think it's a good move by Hasbro. I think it you can't knock them from doing it because they know who's buying toys, and it's not kids. And
I think making that wave 3 and then just going completely out of the box, going wave 1's sort of A New Hope, wave 2's Empire Strikes Back. And then wave 3, we're doing the Mandalorian.
Wave 3 is going to be Jedi with the Jedi figures. That's the only logical.
Wave 3 come out with the Mandalorian, didn't it? of those retro collection.
Oh, okay. So wave 4 then will be
Yeah,
and then but also, but it opens up. They can do everything with them. They could. How about they do some vintage style shows of the Empire figures? They'll sell out. People go mad for them.
but they never even made figures for the new films. As much as people didn't like the new films, the sort of toy line stopped.
Yeah. Oh,
you know, so that could
Jedi, didn't it? They knew.
I'm home to do some Ewoks in the classic line. I'll have to pick a few Ewoks up. I've got a couple there, but none of them have got any weightings or accessories, so it'd be nice to have them. Even just having the accessories in the card would be nice, or depends if you want to open them or not. I don't know if I would open the Ewoks.
Be nice to have a couple of different designed Ewoks. I'm telling you now, if they made a couple of different retro style Ewoks, but in different colours, people will buy them, open them, and stick them on their
indoor playset.
Ewok village. They will. Yeah. Make the figures.
What's the same?
I believe the Ewoks have went crazy the new. I believe the prices on Ewoks have went nuts.
Have they?
On eBay.
I think it's good for like the stormtroopers especially look good, look close to the originals. So if obviously people can't army build necessarily now stormtroopers from the vintage ones because they're either all discolored or they've been bought in bulk by so many people now that you're paying a lot of money per. But to build, if you want to army build sort of stormtroopers now, it's quite easily because if they're at the back or they're in a vehicle, from a glance you're not going to know they're vintage. Or obviously when they're resold or whatever, you would say that they're not the sort of the originals. But in terms of if you want to do a like especially say like for your photography, if you want to do like sort of a good scene with a load of stormtroopers, army building a load of stormtroopers from the vintage range, you'll just never do. But with those, it's more affordable. It's still £10 a pop, but it's more affordable sort of to do it, and they look good as well because they look white. So,
100%. And if you did lose them or you did lose a gun when you were doing it, you're not going to worry about it too much, are you?
No, because some of the weapons for Star Wars, like the Cloud Car Pilot, I think his little communicator, which is sort of like the tiniest bit of plastic ever, is like £50 for just that little accessory. So you wouldn't want to take that out into the woods and stand it up on a log, would you? And then it goes vanishing.
100%.
So they've got. I think they've got a place, and I think they work like for different things.
There's knockoff Star Wars figures going now, and it's a company called Crazy Toys. I think they've been doing them for about 2 or 3 years now. But you get a double plat, so you get a white vintage Stormtrooper, but you also get a black version of them as well. I know about a year and a half ago, there was a big thing on eBay that folk were buying tons of these and actually recarding them and selling them off as vintage Star Wars figures. When they're, didn't get me wrong, they look like vintage Star Wars figures. Only difference is that the hand is a separate piece.
Okay.
So it's not all one solid, like the arm's not a solid piece, so the hands are different, and it's not until folk were buying them, spending 50, 60 quid getting this vintage Star Wars figure, realising that they've been caught.
Star Wars is such a, for fake things like that and weapons, Star Wars is such a minefield. And buying any vintage Star Wars, you know, some of these fakes that are coming out for them are getting people who have been in the know for years. You know, there is ways of testing them, but even those they're getting past sort of things like that.
Yeah. There is actually there is knockoff versions of the Black Series figures, and some of them are actually, you couldn't tell the difference if they were loose. You put a Stormtrooper next to the store, you wouldn't be able to tell which one's actually the knockoff and what one's actually legit. They look that good.
See all the limb snaps off.
I think it was the other YouTuber, Ashens, he was doing a review on me, and that's what he was saying is like, you couldn't tell the difference. I mean, he says even the paintwork on the knockoff was actually better than the Black Series.
It's worrying when figures get to that point, though. When fake figures get to that point, I know. Sort of, my boy gets Figma stuff, and you can buy that. It's so hard to make sure you're buying stuff that's not coming from China and isn't just. They use photos that look legit, and then when they come, the face just looks like it's been smashed into a wall 15 times, and you're like, this isn't like the photo. But Figma figures shoot up in price like quite rapidly, so you kind of, but when you're dropping like 40-50 pound on one, you're still not sure whether it's a legit one or whether it's been a fake one.
100%. Dave, always original weapons, mate.
So if you're going to Wish are actually selling these for like 30 quid. I mean, these are like from an £80 figure. And it's just they're just using the exact same mold, but it's just a cheaper plastic.
Yeah.
But when you look at the picture, it's like, oh, they're cool, I'm going to buy it. But then when you come, as soon as you take it out of the box, you pick up and it falls to bits.
But yeah, I think
I don't think he does his YouTube anymore, but man, he used to pick a lot of stuff up for Wish just to see exactly what they were. And he did get some figures that were awesome, and he got other figures as soon as he tried to take out the tray, it just basically crumbled. So you're paying, you might be getting it cheap, but it's
a false economy, because if you want it, you're going to have to go and buy it then legit, and then you will have wasted whatever you paid.
So David's asking again, is it for weapons, would you go for the original weapons or would you go for 3D printed ones?
So for me, if I desperately needed like weapons for my Megazords, if original ones were too high, then I would go for 3D printed ones. But again, like they'd be displayed, so unless you got up real close, you wouldn't be able to tell that they were like 3D printed or original. But like I said, I don't care about the weapons.
I think it's only an issue when it comes to reselling.
Yeah,
I think that's where the issue is that people are if they're for you and for your collection, like if you want an army build or something, and you know the weapons like alone is going to cost you 30 quid each, and you're army building them for a photo or something like that, then it makes sense to use 3D printed ones, because you're not, and you could even do variants of the weapons, because stormtroopers, for instance, would have had various different weapons. But I think the issue of anything like 3D printed is really just when it comes to reselling, is that if you're selling it and you know it's printed, either bin it or say to the guy. I've done it with vintage Star Wars figures, ships. I've had a guy printed in Australia prints the Slave 1 stickers, and he has them all die cut and everything, so that they're like exact replicas of the original Slave 1 stickers. I didn't stick them on the Slave 1 because the Slave 1 had a few stickers already. But when I went to sell it, I said, look, I'm not charging you for this, but here's a sticker sheet of replica stickers. And if you want to stick them on there, it's your choice. If you don't bin it, it's... But I got it because I was like, if I'm going to display this one day and I get another one, then which is needing the stickers, then I can put the stickers on it. It look nice for a display. But when it would have been sold, it would have been sold as, this is an original figure, but these stickers are just these are replica stickers. I think the same with weapons. They've got their place, but I think it's only an issue when it's the seller selling it. And obviously people knowing they've got replica weapons, because some people will buy them innocently enough thinking they're originals off somebody else who's tried selling it on. And I think eBay is probably the way you get caught more so on that.
Even if you did get retro 3D printed weapons for your figures, as long as you if you're selling it, as long as you tell them that this is coming with a 3D printed rifle or a sword or armor of some sort. As long as you tell them, then you should be all right. But I mean, you don't sell a figure then, because you're going to get that one person that knows exactly what the real one looks like, and they'll be able to tell with touch. with the plastic, so you know yourselves that, oh, wait a minute, I've just spent say £100 on this Star Wars figure, and he's giving me a 3D printed lightsaber. I believe some of the lightsabers are like £100 to buy.
But I think that's just the integrity of the person, isn't it? Really, like if you're selling something, like for me personally, if I sold anything that had something 3D printed, I'd go, look, if it was a weapon, I'd go, I'm selling you this figure as a loose figure with no weapon, and I've got a 3D printed one you can have, because that's how I displayed it, and then it's your choice. But I think one of the comments about 3D printing, I think 3D printing is great because you kind of can make your own figures now if you're clever enough. Like if you've got a 3D printer and you're clever enough with like some of these 3D apps, you can kind of mess around and make your own figures now, which is something you could only do with kind of like Play-Doh and Lego as a kid. Whereas
that's funny because somebody just asked that question about that, Jason.
Yeah, that's what I
you guys think you might put things out of business toy-wise or not toy-wise?
I think like what Aaron was saying earlier. If you want a figure that was never made for your diorama, if you're clever enough, you can make that figure now. And it will cost you sort of 10, 20 quid in filament, but you can have something that's sort of legitimately legible for your diorama to say, well, there's the bartender, or there's just sort of patrons of the cantina. Do you know, you don't have to be that. And and you could even print, say, like droids. You could print astromech droids, but not in R2D2's colors, because you don't want to ruin an original R2D2 just to customize it for just something to go. Why do that when you can 3D print it? But once again, if you ever sell it on, you're just legit with what it is.
I believe they were doing the shock troopers, the Death Troopers, the ones that was in the last series of The Mandalorian that Luke destroyed. I know I'm sure there's a guy on Instagram actually doing 3D printed versions of them and selling them. But they do look cool once he's doing them for
some of the statues you see 3D printed now that people have designed and sell the files. Some of those statues, if they were made by like Slideshow or somebody like that, they'd be thousands of pounds. Whereas you can 3D print them now, and if you know somebody who can print that can paint well, and even like I can't paint that well, but I would get it 3D printed to have a go at. And if it went wrong, I go, oh well, I'll chuck it in the bin. It's a bit of, it's a bit of plastic. So I think it wouldn't. It's not going to harm toys like other proper manufacturers. I don't think like people like Hasbro or anyone like that's going to care.
Thing is, if you could not physically mass produce enough figures by 3D printing alone to even touch it, you can make, like you said, you can make a statue through 3D printing, but to make a movable action figure, you would need to 3D print each individual moving part separately, the joints for it. I just don't think you would. You won't be able to make it quick enough.
No, because they take hours to print, don't they?
Yeah, you need to set up an actual factory where you're not 3D printing, you're mass producing. But going back to the 3D weapons, like you were saying, if you're going to keep it in your collection, art that just completes something, that's yours. I'm not going to say yes or no. I'm going to say it's your choice, because I don't agree with it, because it's personally I don't agree with it. But if you want, I'm not going to say yes or no to anyone doing it themselves. That's their choice. But obviously, like you were saying, and I agree 100%. If you're then going on to resell it after, you need to have the whole basis of this is a fake weapon. It's actually got a fake knee part, like the knee joint is been ripped. Do you know what I mean? It's that might be great for when, I don't know, you sell that figure to me, but when I sell that figure on to someone else, do you know what I mean? And it will get lost, and then I don't know. It's a very grey area of what gets classed as like repo. Do you know what I mean? And all that sort of stuff. Because
I think it comes down to the reason you're doing it, really, isn't it? It's why you're doing it overall. If you're doing it to try and scam people, then 100% it's the wrong thing to be doing. And if you're doing it because you feel there's a justified reason, or if it's parts that are already available, then you question why are you printing parts that are already available? Like, but the more
people that do 3D print these parts, all they're doing is driving the price of the original parts up. It's not actually benefiting. You might say, oh, it's really expensive to get this one part. I'm going to get it 3D printed. Well, I've got that part and I can guarantee 100% that it's real, but you can go, how, do you know what I mean? It drives the price up more than it does anything else. So it's a,
because
it's a
you
very,
know there's a demand.
Yeah, yeah, like I said, it'll always be down to the collector's choice whether they want to do it. So
yeah, because some people are quite happy to have figures on their shelves without weapons, waiting for that day they do find an original weapon. You know, some people their OCD can manage without having to have that weapon straight away.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah. Right.
Well, we're coming up to the 2 hours there, so I think we'll maybe call this a night. So thanks for everybody for watching and commenting. And just remember to like and subscribe. Remember, come and join us on Toy Division. It's an awesome group.
Yeah, it really is.
Feels really good. Someone else
probably
saying
maybe
that.
Try and do this every Saturday.
It feels really weird being like the other side of things.
It's the thing with the Toy Division group, and the way you have designed it, and that it's awesome, and you can post your stuff. Nobody's bothering you about, oh, can I buy this off you? Can I buy that off you? I
think it's one of the only groups I'm in where people aren't just trying to sell you everything all the time. It's more for, I've got this. Does anybody know about it? Or somebody's got this and gone, I've just bought this, and people are like, that's great. We used to have that. And then rather than having because in a lot of other groups, you do get those posts, but there's sort of the ratio of those posts compared to I'm selling this, I'm selling this, I'm selling this. Admin, I need some help. Somebody's ripped me off with this. But you know, all the good content gets diluted. Whereas what you're doing with that, I don't think I'm in another group that does just that.
I appreciate that, mate. That's what we want. So the one thing we set out to do is like that. There are so many amazing groups that you can buy and sell stuff on. Like we just didn't want to be another one of them. Like there is so many great ones out there and established ones as well, like trusted ones. And we all work full-time jobs outside of this. Do you know what I mean? We don't have the time to be chasing around, and we don't want people to be let down. Do you know what I mean? But like, fortunately, in every sort of aspect of life, there's always people that are going to be trying to scam people. So that's the one thing we stayed away from. But I'm happy that you're all enjoying it. It's a place you can all share your medias on and everything, unless you do gaming stuff, because only strange people stream themselves gaming.
Just a reminder to everybody, if you're following in an auction tomorrow as well.
He's just got a photo there. He's just got a photo of him there.
He just put a photo up. Yeah. Oh, he's woken up.
Screensaver.
So I was replying to a message on eBay. I bought Power Rangers Zeo on DVD because I wanted to go through and rewatch all the Power Rangers, and I purchased it a month ago and I never received the DVD. So
sending a strongly worded email way.
I was like, I either get a refund from you or I'm going through PayPal. Simple. Right. I've been waiting a month for a product that should have been here like a week after I paid for it. So
100%.
So
100%.
Until the next time. So I might try and do this every Saturday if I can. Fortunately, I'm starting back work tomorrow, so I don't know how how my weekends are going to work out, but I'll try and fit one in again. But like I say, thanks for Jason, Chris, and Aaron for coming on, and thanks everybody in the comments and who's appreciate it. It's like Aaron says, it feels weird you doing your one because I'm used to watching Aaron and watching other guys doing their stream, so it's kind of weird to do your own one. So as we say, call it a night, and hopefully everybody has a good weekend and a good week. Ciao for now.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers.
Thanks everyone in the chat. Appreciate it.
Bye, everyone.